welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter, of course, at DFS Jerusalem, breaking down for you last night's 5-game NBA slate. It was Christmas Day. I hope you all enjoyed your holidays. Hope you got everything you wanted for Christmas. Hope you were able to give everything you wanted to give to your family and your children for Christmas. I had a really good one, man. The kids got everything that they really wanted. So I got some Under Armour shirts. My wife bought me a few of these. It's what I wanted. So that was pretty cool. And, man, what a great NBA slate we had tonight, man. Very great games we saw all night long, man, up to the last game. It was a very good game, good basketball. Had some pretty good NFL games. Some teams were able to clinch. Some got knocked out. Of course, we know my Giants are in the playoffs. We in the tournament. That's all we need to do is get in. And I know the chances of beating the Cowboys 3 times in one season is highly unlikely, but we were going to give it a go and see what we can do. Now, as we all know, on the shorter slates, what we did was we went with our stacks. We had a lot of different teams we like to stack. Most notably, I had a lot of Minnesota. I had a lot of the Lakers in the late game. I had a lot of Golden State, which really didn't work well for me, as well as Minnesota. And, you know, all in all, it was a profitable night. A player like me, I'm strictly a tournament player. I play single entry GPPs and all of the other, like, the guaranteed prize pool. So I'm a tournament player. I don't play cash games. I don't play head-to-heads. So every lineup that I have is just going to be, you know, that upside play, that upside look is what I'm looking for. And anytime for me that I finish a night on a pot, if I'm going to win it all, I'm going to lose it all. So a night like tonight, where I started off really bad, I had a lot of Minnesota guys in and out of lineups. When I start off bad like that, and I'm able to make it up with the guys that I rostered in the later games, because I didn't play the late slates or anything. I just played, you know, the main. I played all main, and it was really good that I had a lot of guys in those later games that were able to take me across the 300 and not only get my buy-in back, because at one point in the night I'm thinking if I just get my buy-in back, boy, I'll be all right. But not only did I get my buy-in back, but I want a little something extra that's going to go towards future endeavor. So that was a good night. It was a good night. Good night in the sweatshop. We'll take that all day long. As long as we get a profit, we'll take it. There it is. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we normally would jump into my Core 4 review. That is going to be released tomorrow for the upcoming 11-game monster slate. I'm definitely going to have a Core 4 out for you right around midday, maybe a little bit after that. Didn't do one for today because we went with a lot of the stacks. We wanted to stack guys, you know, just put guys in the right spots. And if you got to, what stacks got you to the money? If you stacked Cleveland the right way, it got you to the money. The Lakers on the back end of that really helped a lot of guys out. Also, if you stacked Boston the right way, you were able to get to the money there. If you stacked the Knicks the right way, you were definitely able to get to the money there. So there were some really good stacks out there. My favorite of the night was actually one of the worst ones to do. It was the Minnesota stack. But I had a couple Lakers stacks and I had a couple guys sprinkled in here and there, so I was able to have a profitable evening. That's what it's all about. As long as you're making a profit, you can't really fuss about it. So tonight, I am treating myself to strong drink. Let's go ahead and jump into the feature for players of the night. These are the most talked about, most tweeted about guys in the DFS Sweatshop on Twitter and in the Facebook VIP. We're going to start with a Who Dat scoring all on points over there player tonight. This goes to the old man. This dude was in, I looked at my builds and I was like, yo, I have a lot of this guy, man. I don't know if this is actually something I should go through with. But you know what? It was Christmas. I was working all day. I didn't want to keep going to the bathroom to check my phone and blah, blah, blah. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to let the chips roll. I'm going to let the motherfuckers fall. Let's see what's happening. And this dude goes out and balls. We're talking about Luol Deng at 4.9K, only 11% owned. Anytime you get a guy on a 5-game slate that's going to score 40 points at 4.9K, that's 11% owned, you've got something that can separate you from the rest of the field, and he definitely did that for me tonight. If you had him, I know he did it for you. Luol Deng at 4.9K, 11% owned 40.5 DraftKings points. Excellent game from the Who Dat scoring all them points over there. Player of the night. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be the how did I miss that play? This is a guy who had made a lot of sense to play. When you look at usage and how much this team depends on him specifically, and also the other guys are starting to play this a little bit better, and he's such a facilitator and such a focal point in the actual offense. They don't have a true point guard on the floor at all times. A lot of times he is that for the team, and you saw it tonight. You really saw him run the show, and he played a really great game, but I didn't have him anywhere. Complete 100% fade, and that's why Kawhi Leonard, you are tonight's how did I miss that play tonight at 7.8K, 23% ownership. So people were on him. Guys were on him. He went out and scored 53.5 DraftKings points. Excellent game we saw from Kawhi Leonard. Now, the heat check play tonight can only go to one person. It can only go to one person. When you step back, fade away, and knock down the game-winning shot in Cleveland against the Golden State Warriors, you've got to be the heat check player tonight. Not to mention at 7.7K, 34% owned. This dude scored 63 DraftKings points. Excellent game from Kyrie Irving, and he is definitely tonight's heat check player tonight. Now we're gonna get to that spot in the show. I wish I didn't have to do it, but we always got to talk about that one motherfucker. This is the one motherfucker who, and this is personal to me, because I really thought that this dude was in a nice spot, a really nice spot in an up-tempo, high-paced game with the other teams' better on-ball defender not being there to play. We also had Roberson in there too, but he usually guards a small forward. But he was on Wiggins most of the night. So we saw Zach LaVine go out in a very plus matchup. Plus. I'm talking about a really nice matchup. And the dude goes out and shits himself. And that's why you tonight, Zach LaVine, you a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass. How the fuck you gonna go out? Being a focal point of your team. Go out at 6.4K, rob us, take that from us, and bring back 22.25 DraftKings points. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? You a motherfucking snowflake, Zach. Joe snowflake ass. 19.7% owned. So he had us in position. If this dude goes out and plays well, we are in position to take down some shit. Not tonight. Not fucking with Zach LaVine. He's a motherfucking snowflake. Zach, hope you watching this with your snowflake ass, and I ain't gonna roster you again. For a week. He's on a week restriction. Zach LaVine, you on punishment for a week. I'm not fucking with you for a week. You got something to show me. You got some explaining to do, some proving to do. Let's go and move on with the rest of the show. At this point, what I like to do is run through a quick recap of the 5 games just so that we know where we've been, so we can tell where we've gone. I cannot stress to you enough about how important watching the games are. Today was a day I hope you all didn't have to work like I did, and you got to actually sit back and really watch and analyze some NBA basketball. I'm going to hit you on a few points that I saw, things that I see as I'm watching the game, stuff that helps going forward. Like, case in point, I just finished watching the Lakers and the Clippers game, and it is so funny to me how good the Laker bigs can be at times. Even Timothy Mozgov, the Robinson kid, no, Thomas Robinson. Of course, we're talking about Julius Randle. These guys are really good bigs. But we look at the point guard play, and this team probably has like the lowest, from a perimeter standpoint, this Laker team probably has the lowest basketball IQ I've ever seen in my life. They pick and roll at the top of the key, pick and roll all day, pick and roll. But they never pass the fucking ball. Sweet Lou, Randle comes up, sets a hard pick, gives his body up, bam, set a pick. He rolls around. Randle is running down the lane, wide the fuck open, and Sweet Lou is fumbling and bumbling and stumbling, shooting fucking jumpers. It's crazy. D'Angelo Russell, same thing. High pick and roll. The man sets the pick, puts his body on the line, boom, frees you up. Now he's open. He's running down the center of the lane, and you fancy dribbling behind the back and not scoring. It's just ridiculous. The Lakers should be a lot better team than they are. If they had one like intelligent guy actually pushing the pace and being the point guard on the team, which I think could actually be the rookie, actually, which I think he could be. He looks like the smartest guy that handles the ball. Him and Lou Alding. But of course, Lou Alding is old and he's not a point guard. But it's just ridiculous. And you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that unless you watched the game. Like tonight, you would be like, oh yeah, look, damn, Lou Alding had 40 points. Or damn, Julius Randle had a great game, but these aren't guys that I would roster all the time. I would not roster these guys outside of 5-game slates like that because the guys that they play with are dumb when it comes to basketball. Like they're not smart ball players. So these guys are not going to have these types of games all the time. On a 5-game slate, I was kind of boxed in. I had to get them in there somewhere. But on a 14-game slate, I'm not rostering them dudes because they play with dumb perimeter players. They don't play with smart people that know how to that understand the facilitating of the ball and being a point guard and getting everybody involved and making sure the ball touches everybody before somebody scores. They don't understand that. Just rants over. So let's go ahead and jump into the recap of last night's games. We're going to start with the first game on the slate. This is a game that a lot of people had people invested in, and I didn't at first. But once I started to look at the slate a little bit more, I saw that there were a few maybe hidden gems in there, people that a lot of us would not have been on otherwise. So let's go ahead and jump straight into this. This is the New York Knicks at home taking on the Boston Celtics. We saw a really nice game from Al Horford, man. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Really nice game from him. We didn't get what we wanted from Isaiah Thomas, which is where a lot of people went when they first wanted to attack this game. He had a decent game. Didn't snowflake out for you, but in 32 minutes, he had 27 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. You thought against the Knicks he may be able to do a little bit more than that. We saw a decent game from Jay Crowder. In 33 minutes, he had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist for him. Amir Johnson, at his very low salary, in 24 minutes, had 9 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, and Kelly Olynyk was pretty good off of the bench. He definitely exceeded the value from his low price point. He had 16 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists for him. Not a great game we saw from Avery Bradley, 11 and 6 with 2 assists and 3 steals. Not good at all for him. And Marcus Smart was a pleasant surprise off of the bench. In his 28 minutes, he had 15 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal. On the New York Knicks side of the ball, we saw a nice game from Carmelo Anthony, 29 points and 7 boards to go with 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block in 38 minutes. So Carmelo ticked every line on the stat sheet. Pretty good game from him. Kristaps Porzingis did the same. In 22 points, in 37 minutes, he had 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 4 blocks, of course, to go with those 22 points. Really nice game we saw from Kristaps Porzingis. And Joakim Noah grabbed 12 boards. He only had 8 points, so he fell 1 bucket shy of that double-double bonus, but he did have 2 assists to go with that. Derrick Rose, pretty nice game from him. 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists for him. Not a great game from Kyle O'Quinn. That streak of him being a player on the verge is kind of over. He only played 13 minutes. He had 6 points and 4 rebounds. Not a great game from him at all. The next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers beating the Golden State Warriors in Cleveland. This was the game of the day. This was a very good game from start to finish. I got off just in time to see the end, and we saw a nice game from Kevin Durant. But you know what? The funny thing about this team, man, this team was very tough. This Golden State team was tough. They were hard-nosed. You know, even though they had some pretty light-skinned dudes shooting jumpers, the overall scheme in this team was based around hard work and teamwork and playing together. And I think Kevin Durant destroys that. Because this dude he's soft, man. This dude is soft as fuck, man. And I like Kevin Durant. I think he's a great player. He's good. He's a great player. Deserves to be in this league. You know, deserves to be one of the best players in this league. He is. But he is soft as shit, man. And that last play, how do you fall to the ground? How do you just flail to the ground with the game on the line? Who the fuck does that? Kevin Durant does that. So, in his 38 minutes, he had 36 points, 15 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. So this game was very fantasy-friendly. Very nice game from him. Draymond Green, not a great game, and 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. We saw a pretty decent game from Klay Thompson. He had 24 and 2 to go with an assist, a steal, and a block. And Steph Curry only had 15 points, but he did have 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Did not make value for you if you had him in your roster. Not a great move for you. Not too much else to speak of on the Golden State side, but on the Cleveland side, we saw a nice game from LeBron James. 31 points and 13 boards to go with 4 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Kyrie Irving, the heat check player of the night, in 43 minutes, he led the team in minutes, had 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists to go with 7 steals. This dude was on quadruple double watch. That's pretty dope. Really nice game we saw from Kyrie Irving. Didn't get to see much else off of the bench. We did have like like 5 guys that didn't play, 4 due to a coach's decision, and of course we know that J.R. Smith is out with that right thumb fracture. So we can definitely there's been talks of them resting guys already. That's tomorrow, or that's already talk of that of guys being rested. So we do want to keep up on that. Anytime they play these huge games like this, and LeBron like expends a lot of energy in a win, they like to like throw it out there that they may sit him. So we want to be on the lookout for that. Definitely. The next game we're going to talk about is the San Antonio Spurs at home against the Chicago Bulls. Now, I completely faded this game. I had no one from this game, but we had a few good plays actually from this game. Starting on the Chicago side, Dwayne Wade, man, in 28 minutes, he had 24 points, 3 boards, and 6 assists to go with 1 steal. Pretty nice game from him. Jimmy Butler, the price has got to come down on him at some point. 36 minutes for Jimmy Butler. He had 19 points and 5 rebounds to go with 3 assists and 1 steal, and he's getting the minutes. Jimmy Butler is getting the minutes. He is just not playing well. 8 for 19 is not a horrible field goal percentage, but you would expect that from somebody who can actually shoot. But this guy is not a jump shooter. Doesn't consistently knock down a jump shot. Most of his buckets are going to the lane. And when he shoots 8 for 19, he only takes 19 shots. He does lead the team in shots, but that's telling me that he's not going to the basket enough. That's telling me that he's settling for the jump shot, and he's not really making them. 42% field goal percentage during this game for him. Rajon Rondo, not a great game at all. In 30 minutes, he had 6 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Nikolai Mirotic played very, very well. In 32 minutes, he had 11 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, and 3 steals to go with the block. And we also saw Taj Gibson for 24 minutes. He had 12 and 7 to go with 2 assists. Not a great game from him. On the San Antonio side, that's the second good game in a row we saw from LaMarcus Aldridge, man. He was 1 rebound shy of a 30 and 10 double-double. So he had a pretty good game. 33 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist for him. Kawhi Leonard did everything he could do to make sure they won this game. In 37 minutes, he had 25 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Pretty nice game from him. We even saw a nice game from Tony Parker. The old man had 13 points to go with 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 steal. Not much else we saw. Of course, we saw Paul Gasol for 24 minutes, and he did have a block, 2 assists, 7 rebounds, and 12 points. So I think that did get you right around what you wanted from him for value. But Dwayne Dedmon in his 14 minutes had 9 points, 6 boards, and 2 assists. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I was all in on Russell Westbrook. I mean, I can guarantee you, I put in about 100 lineups, and he was in at least 80 of them. Like, I liked Russell Westbrook. I liked the spot that he was in, and he really didn't disappoint. But when we were looking for that big triple double in a game like this, very fast paced, thought the game was going to be a little more competitive. But he just like played so well early on that, and Minnesota played so bad that the game just did not go the way that the game script that I had set up for it would have dictated. So, but he did have a really good game. We're going to start on the Minnesota side, though. We saw 23 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals from Andrew Wiggins. His 36 minutes. Gorgui Dieng, man, horrible game from him. He played 30 minutes and had 6 points and 5 boards. Not a great game from Karl-Anthony Towns. He had 8 boards and 26 points in his 32 minutes. Ricky Rubio was the only guy that really kind of like had a good game. But he only scored 3 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists to go with 2 steals. Zach LaVine, the snowflake of the night, which was snowflake ass, had 16 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Not a good game from him. But we also saw Muhammad. In 25 minutes, he has 15 points to go with 1 rebound and 1 steal and 1 block. And Shabazz Muhammad is somebody to look at going forward. He's a pretty good player. And if he is again like he was last year, their 6th guy, the 6th man off of the bench like consistently, you can look at him in spots like this in small slates to get that little scoring punch off of the bench and still get the stack in if you wanted to stack the Minnesota Timberwolves. On the Oklahoma City side, we saw a really nice game from Steven Adams, 22.6 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, and Enes Kanter got into the action and played very well. He had 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists to go with a steal in his 29 minutes. We saw a big double-double from Russell Westbrook, 15 assists, 31 points, to go with 7 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. Pretty nice game from him. Not much else we saw from the Oklahoma City side. The next game we're going to get into is the last game on the slate, and it was the LA Lakers beating the Clippers in Staples. They were both home because that's where they both play. And this is a pretty good game from start to finish. We're going to start on the LA Clippers side. First with the question, why the fuck is Paul Pierce still starting this game? He only plays 12 minutes. Stop it. Run a real fucking starting five out there, man. That's ridiculous. Why is Paul Pierce old ass still playing? Why? And starting. It's stupid. I don't get it. I just don't understand it. We're going to start with Ray Felton, man. Now, we didn't know if we were going to see Chris Paul or not. And me, I just played it safe, and I didn't have Chris Paul anywhere. A couple cats, they had the nuts to roster either Felton or Chris Paul. That way, you know, if Chris Paul played, they would be good. And if he didn't, they had Felton, they would be good. Well, I faded any starting front court player or potential starting front court player from the LA Clippers side because backcourt player, sorry, because I just didn't want to deal with, you know, me giving that roster spot to Raymond Felton and him receiving backup minutes, you know, or starting Chris Paul and he doesn't play, which is what happened. So that being said, Raymond Felton did play a really good game. He had 8 points, 10 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Nice game at that salary. We also saw JJ Redick for 26 minutes, but he went out of the game, I believe, with a leg issue, like a knee bruise or something like that. He had 22 points and 2 boards to go with 3 assists and 1 steal. And as soon as he left out of the game, that's when the Lakers really started to beat the Clippers. So that's telling us going forward that they are definitely counting on JJ Redick to keep them in games and to be a scoring threat, like a major usage guy, scoring threat. Now, of course, that was heightened a little bit because we didn't see Chris Paul, but Chris Paul is such a facilitator and a point guard that he actually would have created more shots, I would think, for JJ Redick, and he probably wouldn't have to go into the basket as much. DeAndre Jordan, in his 27 minutes, had 7 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. That was pretty decent, but not what you wanted from him. Not too much else to talk about on the Clippers side, but the Lakers, they all had a really good game. All the starters had double figures. Luol Deng had a nice double-double, 13 points and 12 boards to go with 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And Julius Randle with the handle, damn near flirted with a triple-double. He had 13 points, 7 boards, and 8 assists to go with 2 steals. Nice game from him. Timothy Mozgov, man, in his 25 minutes had 19 points and 3 boards. Pretty good game at his salary. And Nick Young had 19 and 2 to go with 2 assists and 1 steal. Pretty good game from him. And D'Angelo Russell had 14 and 5 to go with 4 assists. Not a great game, but he did score 14 points. And we had 7 Lakers that were in double figures with Brandon Ingram, 10 and 6. And Sweet Lou Williams had 14 and 3 rebounds to go with 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. Now that we've recapped last night's games, we're going to go ahead and jump into the player pricing for tomorrow's monster 11-game slate. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And the reason why we do this is because there's steps to what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we're trying to roll out, well, at the end is we're trying to roll out 300 lineups that hit 300. And the first step of that is looking at our player pool to get a good idea of who we like and how we should approach the slate. So that's why we open up the player pool, check the pricing on everybody, make our decisions now on who we can and cannot roster. Because this whole thing is a process of narrowing. We really want to, that's what the DFS Sweatshop is about, man. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you narrow. Because I don't want to be rostering guys all over the place. We want to have a streamlined lineup, cores of players that we really like and we really trust, and we want to have a good reason for rostering everybody we roster. If there's a guy on your roster, and I ask you, well, what's the point of that guy being there? And you can't tell me, then you're not comfortable with him, and I don't think that's gonna work. Sometimes you can get lucky and just hit and just win, but for the most part, you do better with the lineups you feel more comfortable about. So we're gonna start and just pull up the salaries on everybody so we can get a good look at where we are. Of course, James Harden is going to be the most expensive play on tomorrow's 11-game slate. He's here at 11.9K. They're at home this time against the Phoenix Suns. Now, they were just in Phoenix, and this was a pretty good game. It was a pretty good fantasy game the last time that they played each other. I believe Harden was a really nice play as well as some other guys. We will get into that too. But at 11.9K, Harden, I don't hate it. Of course, I always talk about how I like, if I have to choose between him and Russell Westbrook, as we have to do on a lot of slates, I mainly lean towards Harden just because his teammates are so easy to roster. Whenever I pay that much for a guy in salary, the guy next to him has better be good too. You know what I'm saying? Somebody I can roster as well. We get that a lot with Kimba and Nick Batum. We get that a lot with Kyrie, with Lowry and DeRozan. We get that a lot with um, who's some else? Okay, yeah, we get that a lot with you know, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan. We get it. You know, if a guy is a facilitator and a point guard, the next guy on his team is usually, going to be a big help to you on your roster. Just like we do that with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Giannis and Jabari Parker. A lot of times we just like to pair guys together. It works, and it's a really good strategy. So James Harden, but the thing about him is there are so many guys that based on the matchup, I mean, he gets everybody so involved in the game based on the matchup, and he still scores, that we can always find somebody, even for the cheap, that's going to benefit from James Harden being on the floor, and that's very hard to do when it comes to Russell Westbrook because you don't know where he's going with the ball. He's so erratic. You just don't know. But you know he's going to do something with it. But I do like James Harden tomorrow. I will probably have him in a small amount of lineups because I do think this game may get out of hand. Next, we're going to talk about Anthony Davis at 11.1K against Dallas. He is in play. Now, this is not a very good pace team when we talk about the Dallas Mavericks. They are actually last in the NBA in pace, while the New Orleans Pelicans are 11th in the league in pace. So this game is in New Orleans. The pace of the game is usually dictated by the best player on the floor, and that is what's going to give me some cause to think about rostering Anthony Davis in some spots. Just because, I think he can be a really good player. This guy has 60, 70, 80-point upside in some spots, and I think we can take advantage of that tomorrow. DeMarcus Cousins is a player I really like at 10.9K. The last time out, he had a really good game against the Philadelphia 76ers, and we did see Embiid, so I'm not concerned about that at all. The price is up here at 10.3 on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He had a really good game out against Washington the last time he played them, but I don't think I'm going to be going there. I would rather go Jabari Parker in that situation or John Wall than Giannis Antetokounmpo. LeBron James at 9.7 against Detroit. Now, first we got to make sure that LeBron's going to be playing. I heard some news that they might be sitting guys, so we need to check up on that. Chris Paul, we already know he's going to be out tomorrow, so that means you can definitely look toward Raymond Felton in that spot. John Wall at 8.8 is a play I really like. Washington's at home. John Wall at home. I like good point guards at home. I'll always give them a look. I like him. Damian Lillard, now I saw a report that he was doubtful. So if Damian Lillard is out tomorrow against Toronto, then that means CJ McCollum is definitely in play for me if we don't see him. Especially if we get like Evan Turner comes back. I like Evan Turner. Well, we're gonna get into that when we get into the point totals. But Damian Lillard may be out tomorrow. Karl-Anthony Towns against Minnesota. Minnesota is the 7th ranked team against center. If we see Dwight Howard, then that means I don't like Karl-Anthony Towns as much, but I still do like him. Kyle Lowry at 8.3 is definitely in play for me against Portland at the Moda Center, especially if we don't see Dame. I definitely like Kyle Lowry tomorrow. Kevin Love against Detroit. We need to see if they're going to be playing. If he does play, I kind of do like him. People are going to see that first-ranked DVP and not going to want to play Kevin Love, but I think he can definitely be a decent play tomorrow. We're going to check the pace on the Detroit Pistons because I think they are a very, very slow-paced team. Yes, they are 27th in the league in pace. So, we kind of want to stay away from games with a slow pace, but Kevin Love, depending on if somebody sits out, I want the other guys. That's just the way I do with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Paul Millsap is in play at 8.2 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Definitely. Jimmy Butler. I don't want any part of Jimmy Butler tomorrow at 8.2K. Kemba Walker, he is in play for me, although I'm not super high on this pick. Number 1, Kemba is away from the Beehive. Number 2, Jeremy Lin. He's going to be going up against Jeremy Lin. And it takes a lot of energy to chase Jeremy Lin around, man. He's a guy that really moves. And I'm not sure I want to pay up that much for Kemba at point guard when I've got some other options below him that I think I like a little bit more, and especially since those other options are at home. DeMar DeRozan at 8K. You know what? If we don't see Dame tomorrow, and we see CJ McCollum start at the point guard, and somebody else shifts to the starting two, if that's somebody like Alan Crabb or or Evan Turner, I don't like DeMar DeRozan that much. I don't like DeMar DeRozan that much. He's not somebody who I'm going to be starting. There's going to be times in the year when I say, yo, fire up Lowry and DeRozan. This is not one of those times. Eric Bledsoe at 7.9. I like him tomorrow. I think he's a really good play against the Houston Rockets. Even though he's going to be seeing the Pat Beverly defense, I still think that we can get what we need from Eric Bledsoe to make that 6-6 value. Blake Griffin is out, of course. Nicholas Batum is a player I really like. If I had to go anywhere in that Charlotte game, or I had to choose between Kemba and Nick Batum, Batum would be definitely the way I would go. Paul George at 7.7 looks like a really good play against the Chicago Bulls. But we haven't seen that great Paul George game. And until we see that, I'm going to hold off on going heavy on Paul George. He may be in a lineup or two. Jeff Teague at 7.6 looks like a pretty good play. Now, he's been on fire lately. And this 5th-ranked DVP does not scare me against. It doesn't scare me against. Damn. It sucks how I be forgetting people's names. Rajon Rondo, man. It doesn't scare me against Rajon Rondo at all. Kyrie Irving at 7.6. We talked about that already. This is a very slow-paced game. Reggie Jackson's a very decent defender. So if we don't see LeBron, but we see Love and Kyrie, I would go Love. I wouldn't really touch Kyrie in this spot. Joel Embiid at 7.5. He may be in play for you. He's still dealing with that minutes restriction, so I'm not really going to mess with it. He's got to be able to play 30-plus minutes for me to roster him at 7.5 with the confidence that it would take for me to do so. Dennis Schroeder at 7.4 going up against Ricky Rubio is definitely in play for me. I like him. DeAndre Jordan against the Denver Nuggets. I just can't roster DeAndre Jordan without Chris Paul being on the court. I'm just not going to do it. Marc Gasol is definitely in play for me at 7.2. I like him a lot. Dwight Howard, we know he is questionable. We need to check up on that, make sure he's going to be playing tomorrow. Andre Drummond at 6.9 against Cleveland. He's in play. He's definitely in play. He's in play. Jabari Parker, I like him at 6.9 against the Washington Wizards. CJ McCollum, I love him if we don't see John Wall tomorrow. If not, I like him a little bit. Devin Booker at 6.7. He had a boss game last time out against the Houston Rockets. I think that can happen again. I mean, he had like a 40 fantasy point game against them. I like him tomorrow. Andrew Wiggins is a no for me at 6.6 going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Zach LaVine, the ownership is going to be down on him. He's seeing bad defense tomorrow in a bounce-back situation. I think we can go back to Zach LaVine. You got to have a short memory in this thing. Drew Holiday is in play at 6.5. I like him. Brook Lopez is probably going to be a play a lot of guys are going to target because we know that Charlotte is really, really not a good rebounding team. They've got a center, but he's not like a true center. Cody Zeller is like a power forward. He's not a true center. Brook Lopez is that. Plus, he can step outside and shoot that jump shot. I like Brook Lopez. A lot of other people will too. So he's probably going to be the chalk play at the mid-level center area. Dwayne Wade at 6.4 against Indiana. I don't like it too much, but I think it can be a decent play. Miles Turner, I like him at 6.4. Mike Conley is a good play for me at 6.4, even though we know Orlando, for some reason, does not give up a lot of fantasy points to the point guards. But I think with the inside-outside attack, with Gasol on the inside and Mike Conley working at the top, I think that he can be a decent play. Bradley Beal at 6.3 is going to be in play for me against the Milwaukee Bucks. Serge Ibaka is a no for me at 6.3. I don't like that. Vucevic, no, I don't like that at 6.3. Rudy Gay is questionable. He's probably going to be coming back tomorrow. If he does, I do like him. But I want to throw this out there. When guys come back off of that injury, it's hard to roster them that first game back. Sometimes you just want to let them see how they're going to play. Harrison Barnes at 6.2 is definitely in play for me against the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, this came from just watching. This came from going back and watching the last few Dallas Mavericks games. And this dude is really good. He is really good. And, you know, he will be even better. I think Dirk Nowitzki is kind of realizing that, hey, man, I'm going to have to pass the team to this guy. I think he's figuring that out. And we saw that the last game out. He hit the game-winning shot. Dirk was in there and did his thing a little bit, but it was really the Harrison Barnes show. And if that continues, with Dirk being able to, knock down that open shot on the on the wing, and him just being able to deal with one-on-one matchups, I think we can see a really nice rest of the season for Harrison Barnes. I like him at 6.2. Wilson Chandler is a no for me at 6.1. Ricky Rubio. We know the story about point guards going up against Atlanta. We know he's scrappy. He's a very feisty guard, Dennis Schroeder, but he is not a very good defender. And Ricky Rubio can definitely have a decent game against him. So I do like Rick Rubio tomorrow at 6K flat. Rajon Rondo is in play for me at 6K going up against Jeff Teague defense. Elfrid Payton is a no. Evan Fournier, he is questionable, may not play tomorrow. Nikolai Jokic, I don't like him tomorrow at 6K. Jeremy Lin is definitely in play for me at 5.9. There's slightly a revenge narrative here. Jeremy Lin did play with the Hornets a couple seasons ago. He did like it in Charlotte too, but the team didn't want to exercise the option on him, so he stepped away. But I do like Jeremy Lin at home against the Charlotte Hornets. I would take Jeremy Lin at 5.9 before I would pay up for Kemba at 8.1. That's just me. Eric Gordon is a decent play at 5.9. I like him. Thad Young, 5.8. That's in play for me. Martin Gortat is definitely in play. Patrick Beverley could be a nice play at 5.8, especially if you're trying to stack Houston and you want to get a piece of Harden and not only by him, but get some teammates involved because he's one of the cheaper guys that you could definitely roster. Deron Williams at 5.8. He is in play for me tomorrow. Gorgui Dieng at 5.7. I like him to have a bounce back game. I like Minnesota Timberwolves altogether to have a bounce back game tomorrow. Robert Covington at 5.7 had a really good game out last time against Sacramento, but we didn't see Rudy Gay then. Well, that's the game Rudy Gay got hurt in. So I do think Robert Covington can be a decent play. Delia Gallinari, I don't like him. Will Barton, no for me. Wesley Matthews, no for me. Mason Plumlee can be a good play against Jonas Valanciunas at 5.5K. I like Reggie Jackson tomorrow at 5.4 going up against Kyrie defense. I think we can see a good game from him. TJ Warren, man, he's probably going to be like one of the better mid-level plays you can roster tomorrow. Because remember, before the injury, like he was climbing up. He was ascending hard. And of course, he had a couple of decent games after he got back, but not that explosion that we saw that was taking him up in price. I think we're going to start to see those. And what better team to start with than the Houston Rockets, one of the highest paced teams in the league. So I do like TJ Warren tomorrow. Ryan Anderson is in play at 5.4. KCP, I like him at 5.3. Tobias Harris is a no for me. Otto Porter is in play at 5.3 against the Milwaukee Bucks. I like Trevor Ariza tomorrow too. If I had to stack that Houston, I would go Ariza, Beverly, and Harden. Jonas Valanciunas is a no for me at 5.3. Kent Bazemore is dead to me still. He's just there. Zach Randolph is not somebody who I want to be rostering tomorrow. Sergio Rodriguez going up against Darren Collison is in play to me. He's definitely in play. 5.2. JJ Redick at 5.2. We need to check up on him because he did not return to last night's game. He may be injured. Gary Harris at 5.1. I kind of like him. Tomorrow, John Lure at 5K. The price is up on Lure a little bit. He's not that salary-saving 3.3K guy or 3.8K guy that can get you 25 points. He's not him anymore. He actually costs $5,000. So I won't be going to John Lure tomorrow. Cody Zeller went up 100, and I think he's definitely in play against the Brooklyn Nets. Tyson Chandler at 5K flat. I don't like that. If I'm going to go to a big on the Phoenix side, it'll be the cheaper out of him and Alex Len. So right now it'll be Alex Len. Jahlil Okafor at 5K flat. He's in play, but I think I won't have him in too many lineups. I like Emmanuel Mudiay tomorrow if we don't see Chris Paul at 5K. That's a nice price on him. Tristan Thompson at 4.9. He's going to be banging down low against Andre Drummond. We know that you can get the best of Drummond. You can score on Drummond, and you can get a few rebounds. You just won't get much. So I do like Tristan Thompson tomorrow. Taj Gibson is in play at 4.9. Markieff Morris is a no for me. Clint Capella's out. We know that. So we're probably going to see Montrezl Harrell and or Nene Hilario. Marvin Williams is in play at 4.8. This may be it. They're going to be some Charlotte stacks tomorrow, I think. Kenneth Faried at 4.8 is not in play for me. Tony Allen is in play at 4.7. I like him. I don't like Aaron Gordon tomorrow. Dirk Nowitzki, no. Thabo, no. Sean Kilpatrick, no for me at 4.6. Jermichael Green is not in play for me at 4.6. Montrezl Harrell at 4.6 is in play against Tyson Chandler. Darren Collison, this is a very interesting play. It's somebody who I kind of was on the other day and he really didn't perform well, but the dude is still starting. He's still a starting point guard. And I think this is the cheapest we are going to see a starting point guard with his skill set, with his talent this season. I think he is worth a look. A lot of times you're early to the party, you get on the guy right before he goes, right before he blows. That could be the thing with Darren Collison. Lately, he has not been hitting jumpers, but he likes to hit the chicks. We want to make sure that we do, just take a closer look at Darren Collison when we do in our roster building. Terrence Jones at 4.6 is a no, and he is questionable, of course. Maurice Harkless now. If we don't see Dame Lillard tomorrow, that is definitely going to be good for Maurice Harkless. It will definitely increase his usage. Marcus Morris is a no at 4.5. Robin Lopez is in play at 4.5. I like Greg Monroe tomorrow as well. Now, he's priced up a little higher than John Henson, but I think John Henson gets to start, and I like John Henson at that 4K price range. Brandon Knight at 4.5. He came off of the bench and had a really nice game last time against Houston, too. Bismack Biyombo is a no. Austin Rivers, for me, is a no. Jamal Crawford, I like Jamal Crawford as a cheaper value play at 4.4. Tyreek Evans is still not seeing the minutes that we need to roster him with confidence. Michael Kidd Gilchrist at 4.3. He is in play, but I won't have much of him. I just won't. PJ Tucker at 4.3 has had a couple nice games, but I think this is time for TJ Warren to go ahead and assume that, okay, you did well while I was gone, but now I'm back. This is my team. So Maurice Spates at 4.3. Mo Buckets is a no for me. And it's a 11-game slate. Hopefully we don't have to go this far down the scale. We look at Damari Carroll at 4.2 in a really good matchup against the Portland Trail Blazers. J.R. Smith is out. Marco Bellinelli at 4K. Now, he is questionable. If he's not playing, that automatically puts the homie in play. Look at Alex Len right there, 3.9. I like him tomorrow. Ramon Sessions at 3.8 is a no for me. Matt Barnes, 3.8. Where's my guy? I'm looking for my guy. Kelly Oubre Jr. at 3.5 is a no. Jared Dudley. This is a value play that I'm looking at. And I always like Gerald Henderson. He had a good game out against them last time. He's going to be seeing like Garrett Temple or Aaron Aflalo. At 3.4K, the dude can get you 20-something DraftKings points. I like him tomorrow. Jeremy Lamb is the player that I was thinking of when I was talking about possibly not seeing Marco Bellinelli, because he's usually been the first guy that has the green light to score off of the Charlotte bench. It's going to go to Jeremy Lamb, and I kind of do like him tomorrow as a cheaper option if we know that Marco Bellinelli is not going to play. So keep an eye out for that. Plus, I think Brooklyn is gonna get beat. I think they're going to beat Brooklyn enough to where we see a nice amount of minutes from the Charlotte second team. I like Jeremy Lamb in that spot. Jamal Murray, the price is down to him at 3.3. This game could blow out. We might see a little bit of Jamal Murray before we thought we should. So I'm looking at that play tomorrow. Salah Mejri at 3.3 is not in play for me. DeAndre Liggins, he has a knee issue. I think he's hurt. Chris Humphries. So we are at the bottom. So now that we have taken a look at the player pool, the pricing, we've got an idea of what we want to do as far as who we like. Well, now we're going to jump into the point totals for today's 11-game slate, and that's going to tell us which games do we like. Where do we want to put to invest salary? That's what this is going to tell us. We're going to look at the point total. We're going to start with the Memphis Grizzlies going to the Orlando Magic. There's not yet a point total released for this game yet. Of course, we've got Evan Fournier dealing with injury, so we don't know exactly if he's going to be playing tomorrow or not. Now, on the Memphis side, like I said, I like Mike Conley. I think he's going to be a decent play. I like Tony Allen. This game, the pace is going to be so slow in this game, and there's 11 games on the slate. So there's not a need to roster multiple guys from this game because you're just not going to get, 340-point explosions from this game because the pace is so slow. And you're looking at Orlando, they're like 11th ranked in pace, and you're looking at Memphis, they're like 30th and 28th in pace. And I just don't think that that's where you want to go as far as, you know, having a lot of players from one game investing that much salary in one game. So on the Orlando side, if we don't see Evan Fournier, we already know, Elfrid Payton is going to be a guy a lot of people go to. But Memphis is so good on perimeter against point guards. And I just don't think that I'm going to go anywhere on the Orlando side in this game. The only play that I kind of like from this game is Marc Gasol, really. And I think Mike Conley deserves consideration. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Milwaukee Bucks going to the Washington Wizards. This is a 213.5 point total. The Washington Wizards are the home favorite. They are giving up 5 points to the Milwaukee Bucks. I like John Wall tomorrow. He's probably going to be my favorite point guard play, or one of my favorite point guard plays. And of all the high dollar guys, he's somebody who I really like a lot. Anytime you roster John Wall in a matchup like this at home, you can definitely look right to one of his teammates. And I think Bradley Beal gets a bump for this, as well as Otto Porter. Don't really trust rostering Markieff Morris right now. And I think Gortat can be a decent play if you were to take a chance on him. On the Milwaukee side, now I do like Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker is a play that I really like tomorrow. I'm not going to be on Giannis Antetokounmpo very much, just because they're away from Milwaukee and he doesn't play as well on the road as he does home. And I can't see, and that's what separates him from being, that major big star for me, or a guy that's matchup proof. That's what doesn't make him matchup proof, because he plays a lot better home than he does on the road. Now, some guys, doesn't matter where they're at, they're balling. KD, of course, he fell down on the last shot, but he went into Cleveland and he did the damn thing. Some guys are just that good, and I don't think that Giannis is there yet. So I won't be on him for that increased price, that 10.3K. That's a little too high for me. I think I can go other spots and get very similar production. As far as the bigs go, like I said, we see John Henson is priced down at 4K flat, but he is still the starter. And then we've got, we've got Greg Monroe at 4.6, and he's coming off of the bench. Well, I like the starter. I would definitely go with John Henson tomorrow. The next game we're going to talk about is a 216-point total, very nice point total. It is the Brooklyn Nets at home, getting 6.5 points from the Charlotte Hornets. So the Charlotte Hornets are the road favorite. So we got a home dog situation. Now, since we got a home dog situation, that means I got to get a piece of the best player on the home dog team. And that means I really do like Brook Lopez in this game. I think he's going to be a decent play. I like Jeremy Lin as well. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I think if I would bet the over in this, the 216 points, I would bet the over, because both teams are led by guys that can actually shoot the ball as well as facilitate and get other guys open, and the offense can be free and flowing. So I do like, and both of them are bad rebounding teams, so we're going to see a lot of second chance points on both sides. So I think we can roster bigs in both spots, on the Charlotte side and in the Brooklyn side. Most notably, Brook Lopez going up against the Charlotte front court, and I think we can definitely look to Cody Zeller going up against that Brooklyn front court. The only thing is we're not going to see a ton of minutes. Cody Zeller doesn't play like 35 minutes a game. He doesn't play a lot of minutes. So there may be other places we can go, but I definitely like Brook Lopez tomorrow. He can drop 50 on you with no problem. So I like Jeremy Lin. I like Brook Lopez. And I also like Nick Batum. He's probably my favorite play from this game. I really like Nick Batum tomorrow. I think a lot of people are going to just automatically shift the focus to Kemba. And I won't have Kemba in a lot of spots. I'm going to be going more Nick Batum. The next game we're going to talk about is the Detroit Pistons at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a 204.5 point total, with the Cleveland Cavaliers only giving up 5 points to the Detroit Pistons. Do they already know something? Do they know LeBron is going to sit out? Because that's a little bit of points for a team that good to give a team that bad. Even though Detroit did play very well, Detroit did play very well against Golden State the other night, I just don't see it if all of the Cleveland starters play. So this point total is telling me that somebody's going to be out tomorrow. I'm looking for for Cleveland to rest some guys. And if that's the case, I don't want any part of this game except for the other guys that are playing. Like if LeBron sits, I like Kyrie. I like excuse me, if LeBron sits, I like Love. If they all play, I don't like anybody. That's just how I'm rocking with that. I won't have too much Kyrie at all anyway, just because I think Reggie Jackson's a pretty good defender, and I would rather have Reggie Jackson go up against Kyrie Irving than Kyrie Irving going up against Reggie Jackson. The price is a big difference. Next play we're going to talk about is the Chicago Bulls at home in a 204-point total going up against the Indiana Pacers. They are giving up 2.5 to the Pacers. The Pacers are the road dog. Not a lot of love for this game. If I had to go anywhere, man, I would stick around the Indiana Bigs because I think Miles Turner is due for another nice game. I like him. His per 36 is fucking nuts. He doesn't play a ton of minutes. He could definitely play more minutes than he does. Thad Young is going to be somebody who I'm going to give some consideration to, but the more I look at it, I think I would rather not go there. I think I would just stick with Miles Turner and be done with it. I don't want to go Paul George in this game. He hasn't shown me enough yet. I haven't seen him have that big Paul George game we saw last year. So he's not somebody who I'm going to be rostering. Jeff Teague is definitely in play for me here too. Going up against Rajon Rondo defense, you can always look to exploit that perimeter when it comes to Rajon Rondo and his defensive capabilities or incapabilities. On the Chicago side, the coin just flipped because Jeff Teague isn't a very good defender at all either. So I definitely think that Rondo can be a really nice play in this game. Actually, he will be the only person that I would really be interested in on the Chicago side. The next thing I'm going to get to is going to be what I think is the highest point total on the slate. It is the Phoenix Suns going to Houston to take on the Rockets. It was a 228-point total with the Houston Rockets giving up 13.5 points. The spread was very similar to this last time. I think it was 11.5. And the game was very close into the fourth quarter. And we saw a lot of James Harden, and we had to see a lot of James Harden in order for him to beat the Phoenix Suns and pull away in that fourth quarter. This game is at Houston. That's the only difference. So if we are going to target Phoenix, and it's a 13.5-point total in Houston, I think that tells us Brandon Knight is definitely in play. It tells us Brandon Knight. It's telling us whoever is the best guy from the second team is definitely in play. So he won't see as much Patrick Beverly, which is a good thing for Brandon Knight. And, of course, because we know Bledsoe is going to be going up against him, which is a winnable matchup, so to speak, because Bledsoe is such a good player. But why would we want to take ourselves through that? Why would we want to – that's like just picking the receiver up that goes up against Richard Sherman every week. Like, why would we want to do that? We don't have to do that. There's other places we can go. On the Houston side, the game's got to blow out some kind of way. And if it does, I think James Harden has a big part to do with it. So I do like James Harden tomorrow. I'm going to have him in a few spots. I also like the very cheap center option in this game. It's going to be Montrezl Harrell. I believe he's at 4,600. That's pretty good. And I like Alex Len too. I think Alex Len can be a decent play. This is where I'm going to go to find my lower salary players, because I like Montrezl Harrell. I like Alex Len. I like Bledsoe. I mean, not Bledsoe. Patrick Beverly. And I also like Brandon Knight off of the bench. So, next game we're going to get into is going to be the Atlanta Hawks going to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. There is no point total yet on this game because we're still dealing with the injury of Dwight Howard. If Dwight Howard plays, I don't like Paul Millsap. If Dwight Howard doesn't play, I love Paul Millsap tomorrow. I also like a couple of players from Minnesota. I think Zach LaVine is in a good spot here. I don't like Karl-Anthony Towns as much, but if we don't see Dwight Howard, I do like him. Dennis Schroeder is definitely in a good spot here, as well as Ricky Rubio. They're both really not good defenders. I mean, you can take a few guys from this game and be okay. So that's where we're at with that. The next game I'm going to talk about is the lowest point total right now on the slate. It is the Dallas Mavericks going to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. This is a 197.5 point total of the Dallas Mavericks getting 4.5 points from the New Orleans Pelicans. You know, just the point total is enough for me to be like, you know what, I don't want anything to do with this game. But when you look at the players involved, man, these are some guys that are going to have some really good individual performances. When you look at um, Anthony Davis, who I'm almost sure his actual ownership is not going to be as high as it could be just because of the point total of this game. You look at Harrison Barnes on the other side, who actually plays pretty well. He's been playing pretty well lately. Dirk Nowitzki is back. That's yet another person that can shoot the outside shot. So maybe the team's actual pace and production won't be as low if we get Dirk Nowitzki on the floor. If we get JJ Barea on the floor, who is now hurt again. Wesley Matthews is somebody I think you can look to in this game, but I won't have him in a lot of spots. Darren Williams, of course, is there, but Jrue Holiday will be a decent play in this game as well. But if I had to go anywhere, man, I would go Anthony Davis. I just would, just because I think the ownership is going to be lower on him, and he is somebody that can go ahead and drop 60, 70, 80, 90 sometimes fantasy points when he does really get rolling. And he's like a usage monster for this team. Everything they do goes through Anthony Davis. So if it's a if it's a low point total, it doesn't matter. Most of the points are going to go through him anyway. So I do like Anthony Davis tomorrow. Next game I'm going to talk about is Toronto Raptors going to Portland to take on the Blazers at the Moda Center. There is no total for this yet because we are still awaiting news to see if we're going to see Dame Lillard tomorrow. Like I said earlier in the show, if Dame does not play, fire up CJ McCollum. I like him a lot. Even Maurice Harkless, his usage gets a bump without Dame on the floor. I think Miles Plumlee is also in play. I do not like Valanciunas on the other side. I think Lowry's going to be a really nice play tomorrow. I don't like DeRozan. This can be a nice game. And this is a 10 o'clock game, so it's definitely a part of your late night hammers. The next game we're going to talk about is the Denver Nuggets going to LA to take on the Clippers. There is no point total for this game either, of course, because we are waiting on the Chris Paul situation. I think he's going to be out tomorrow. I think I heard something that said Doc said that he's not going to play Chris Paul tomorrow either. So that being said, the game stays closer than it normally would. There's a couple of Denver guys that I do like. I like Gary Harris in this game, and I like Emmanuel Mudiay. I like the Denver backcourt. As far as the Denver front court, I don't think we're going to see huge games from Nikola Jokic as well as Kenneth Faried, but I think they're still in play. On the Clippers side, we already talked about DeAndre Jordan, how I would not roster him as long as Chris Paul is not on the court. I just can't do it. JJ Redick, he may sit out due to injury, so that means your Jamal Crawfords and your Austin Rivers is going to be in play as well as Raymond Felton is going to be in play tomorrow. The next game and the last game on the slate is the Philadelphia 76ers going to Sacramento to take on the Kings. There, of course, is no point total for this game either because we're still waiting on Rudy Gay news. So if Rudy Gay plays, I think he can be a good play. I probably won't have him because I don't roster guys most of the time their first game back from injury. I love Boogie in this game. He is the last beast on the slate. So, of course, the ownership is not going to be where it would be if he was a 7 o'clock play. So, I do like Boogie for that reason, as well as he's just really good. Darren Collison is going to be on my radar. I may have him in a lineup or two. On the Philadelphia side, I'm not rostering Joel Embiid. However, I will be giving a look to Sergio Rodriguez as well as Robert Covington. Ersan Ilyasova, too, if we don't see Rudy Gay. I love Ersan Ilyasova at that price point. So, this has been your DFS Jerusalem, breaking down last night's 5-game slate, jumping into today's 11-game monster slate. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It is very, very appreciated by me as well as my family. Thank you so much. If you want to support the show further, you can do so in a myriad of ways. You can check the box over here that says support the show. Go ahead and click that box. Let it take you where it needs to take you to support the show. You can definitely copy some DFS Sweatshop swag. There's going to be a link in the bottom of the video as well as the other videos I post. Go there. If you a major part of this and you always in the 300 club, go and get you a shirt, brother. Go and do it. Also, if you want to support my personal PayPal, you can do so at simmonsmaurice95@yahoo.com. Or if you want to become a full-fledged honorary member of the DFS Sweatshop, go to the website dfssweatshop.com. Go ahead and register there. Upon your paid subscription, you will be getting our cheat sheets, our rankings, our DVP ratings. You'll be getting our Core 4 plays. Most importantly, our Core 4 roster building strategy. There's 3 steps to it. You're going to get those videos and the tutorials on the website. A lot of great stuff we have over there. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. And remember, the #1 thing we do in the sweatshop, we keep it 300.